of racism, who, if we're serious as black people in this country and we're a black majority, we should not listen to at all. White people have an incapacity to understand the race question because they're beneficiaries. This man and his family benefited from land theft of black people.
Where?
I mean, all white people, the land they have is stolen land. Now, we are not going to have a conversation with land thieves. You don't discuss with thieves. You get justice, you get land back. And this is what we must go to. I think it's a fundamental difference between myself and Eusebius on this question. Black people cannot be racist. We're not dealing with a theoretical postulation. We're dealing with a real historical context which has happened here, which is continuing to happen. White people have the power. They got that power from colonialism, from land theft, from violence. Black people are dispossessed, and therefore we need justice. And continuing with racism, as we see in the past 20 years, means that white arrogance continues. So blacks can't be racist, we're victims of racism. In the same way, I accept women are victims of sexism. We can't come around and say, oh, this woman is being sexist. She might have sexist ideas. She has no power to be sexist. She is a victim of sexism. So I think we must be clear. And it's a big mistake if we don't do this. Black people cannot be racist. We have no capacity to be racist. We are victims of racism. Let's correct that. And we cannot correct that with listening to white racists. It's a shocking thing that on a national television we actually give airtime to racists. These people should be locked up, in fact.
But I think he has a right to be heard.
No racists have any right to be heard. Okay. In the same way that you don't see, precisely my point. We have white arrogance. Because it comes from white power, and that comes from colonialism and land theft. Until we solve that problem, we're going to have so many individual acts of racism, including being insulted every single day by white people, because they have this institutional power.
Aaron, I want you to just make your case. Make your case for what you believe has led us to where things are at the moment, including saying whether or not you acknowledge that history at the very least led us to where we are today.
I'll do that, but just briefly, I think the worst form of racism possible is if you argue that your race is so superior that you are somehow excluded from the very definition of racism. And that's why, and I know people sometimes get very angry that when we use the term black privilege, and it's only in response to the white privilege debate. If a white person made the same type of comments about black people that this man is making about white people, he would not have any platform or any podium at all. But Andile has the privilege to be racist, and he has these platforms to speak about these podiums, to speak from podiums
so
like
you.
this.
You hear?
No, well, I'm not saying the type of things that he's saying about. I'm not saying about black people what he's saying about white people. I'm trying to solve the problem. He's just bashing at white people.
You stole land. You still have our land. 20 years later.
I think what brought us here, the question you asked is, I think there is racial friction, and I think it's worsening, but there were maybe interpretations or different expectations about democracy, where white people were told during the negotiations of the early 90s that democracy will be good for you because white people or minorities' rights are protected. You know, democracy, you can be a minority and you can continue with your lifestyle. But at the same time, it was told to black people, democracy would be good for you because we're going to give back to you what you want, what you believe is yours. And in the end of the process, everyone was frustrated, or everyone felt that democracy didn't meet up to what their needs were. Now, I'm not saying the problem
has been better for you.
I'm not saying democracy is the problem. I'm saying the expectations that were created about democracy is the problem. And we need to find that balance between democracy, yes, it's about governance by the majority, but democracy also, there's a difference between democracy and majoritarianism. The difference is mainly that democracy is about upholding the rule of law, about respecting different peoples, different communities, and also about protecting minority rights. I'm not saying minorities should run the country, but their rights must be protected in the process.
Can we cut through the nonsense?